We are going to look at a question from the question paper of November 2024, and we are going to look at question 3 on that question paper. The question 3 reads, "I read the following scenario and other questions." So you're given a scenario that you just need to go through before you attempt to answer the question. And our first question reads, "Discuss retrenchment under the following subheadings," whereby in the first part it reads the definition of retrenchment, which is 3 marks. So a retrenchment is the reduction of costs or spending in response to economic difficulty through termination of contract. So you'd see that other retrenchments, we are having a scenario whereby workers are stopped to come to work through their contract being terminated. And the main reason behind is a cost reduction from the side of the employers. They want to reduce costs, so that's the motive behind a retrenchment. So we have a description that we have in other section of retrenchment, whereby we are saying it is the termination of the employer service due to market losses and other economic factors. And then it forces the employer to reduce the labor force. Obviously, we are having a reason uh, of market losses that are being suffered by businesses and other negative economic factors that are going to lead to the employers reduce the labor force. So on the third part, it's saying the main aim is to cut labor costs to save or protect the organization. So on the last part, reemployment is a possibility once the company is covered. So when the retrenchment takes place, it means that those workers that have been terminated their contracts can be recalled and come back to work again in that workplace. So basically, that's the essence behind retrenchment. So moving on to the next part of our question, which is question 2, which says 5 circumstances that lead to retrenchment. So we're going to see that what are the reasons behind retrenchments. So we're going to have a list of those factors. We can have economic considerations, maybe due to harsh economic conditions that has made the operating environment not to be viable. So the employer will opt for cost reductions. So this is what we have. And then on the second one is factors beyond control. There might be other factors that might be there that are leading to downsizing in terms of our labor force. And then we've got relocation of enterprise. The enterprise has been relocated, and due to the relocation, obviously there is going to be restructuring. And through the restructuring processes, the labor force might be reduced. So it will lead to retrenchment. And then also technological development and mechanization. So obviously this is going to be the case of mechanization whereby the human labor is going to be replaced by machines. And so in that case, we have got some workers are being stopped to come to work, or their contracts are going to be terminated. So we also have the issue of mergers and takeovers. So obviously, when there are mergers or takeovers, we have got new operating systems that are going to be set up. So through the process, that's when we are going to have maybe downsizing in terms of the labor force. So that's what we have on 3.1.2. I will move on to the next part, which is now 3.1.3. Which is 3 alternatives of retrenchment. Of course, the alternative that we are that are going to be engaged in terms of uh, termination of contracts that are not due to a retrenchment. We can have when we are having stop, we can stop subcontracts. So if we are saying in terms of retrenchment, what can we do to avoid retrenchment? So we can downsize through stopping subcontracts. That is one of the ways we can do that. Also by reducing number of shifts, so that maybe number of working hours is reduced per each worker, and this is going to make all the workers being accommodated. And then we have got temporary layoffs, that is temporary suspensions without pay. So it means temporary layoffs, we are stopping them to come to work for a certain period of time, then they come back to work. So in that case, when they are at home, they are not going to be paid, and it's going to obviously resuscitate the operating processes by saving costs. So we have the next point is saying forcing employees to take all accumulated leave, and also we have temporary closing down certain sections of the enterprise, refraining from making use of temporary workers, and then also a freezing recruitment of all workers. So these are other alternatives that we can take into consideration rather than retrenching. So this is our question three, which only needs three alternatives. So of the list that we have, you can just pick three, and each alternative is having 2 marks, giving a total of 6 marks. Then 3.2, the three methods of dispute resolution. We're going to see that we have the issue of mediation, we also have arbitration, and obviously we have the issue of negotiation. So these are the three methods that we have, whereby we have negotiation. So negotiation, we are saying, is generally a dialogue between two or more parties to resolve points of difference. That's a negotiation. Then when you look at mediation, it is a negotiation facilitated by a third party. The third party has to be neutral, which will be an independent third party. So that's what mediation. Then we've got arbitration. Arbitration is a formal method of dispute resolution involving a third party, which is also neutral, who makes a binding decision, which is legally binding. So basically, the decision that has to be made at arbitration has to be a legally binding one. So that's what we have on 3.2. And I move on to our 3.3, which reads at least 5 incumbent or in-house procedures. So you're going to see that we've got various company in-house procedures. We've got disciplinary procedures, grievance procedures, retrenchment procedures, recruitment procedures. We also have appeal procedures. So these are the in-company procedures that we can mention. We go to the next part of our question, whereby it reads differentiate between protected and unprotected strikes. So obviously, protected is a legal strike, and then the unprotected is an illegal one. So it automatically means that the protected one involves authorization of trade unions, whereby under unprotected there is no trade union which is representing those workers that are going to strike. So that's those are the main differences that we can try to deduce. So we go to our other section and try to see those in terms of protected and unprotected. So protected, we are saying it's a legal strike, which is exactly as indicated, and then it becomes an illegal strike when it's under unprotected. Then we have got it complies with the Labor Relations Act under unprotected strike, and under unprotected strike, it does not comply with the Labor Relations Act. And then under protected strike, certain procedures specified in the Labor Relations Act are followed, whereby in this case, employees do not receive protection from the Labor Relations Act. And then we have got protected strikes are legal and it may not be arrested, whereby under unprotected, we are saying if the law is broken, union and members can face possible arrest and prosecution by authorities. So that's what we have. And then we also have a point that we have under unprotected strike that procedures specified in the Labor Relations Act are not allowed. Are not allowed. So this is what we have on this part on differences that we can deduce between protected and unprotected strike. So on this point, it reads procedures specified in the Labor Relations Act are not allowed, which means, remember, we are saying an unprotected strike is going the illegal way. So obviously, whatever is stated in the Labor Relations Act won't be followed under the unprotected strike. So that's why we have procedures specified in the Labor Relations Act are not allowed. So that's what we have. We'll move on to the next part of our question, which is now going to be 3.5, the last question. Name the 5 functions or objectives of bargaining. Remember, bargaining is generally described as discussions between parties to reach an agreement. So what are the functions of bargaining or objectives of bargaining? So we're going to say that it's establishment of rules in the workplace. So when we have bargaining, we are mainly being focused on establishment of rules in the workplace, which is the first one. Then the second one, determining the form of compensation and also establishment of standard compensation, determining priorities on each side, and restructuring the arrangement of bargaining. So those are some of the points that we have. And this marks the end of our question 3. Thank you for listening, and hopefully the video was helpful. And let's meet again in the next video.